And greetings, Singularitarians. Today we're so excited to be here, starting with Rui and Connor from the Mindplex team. Rui's the CEO, Connor's the COO. And we're excited, Ben will be joining us shortly, but we're so excited to talk about SingularityNet's ecosystem's first foray into officially joining decentralized social media with the launch of Mindplex's new Mastodon integration as the kickoff for Mindplex Social. Connor, can you tell us a little bit about this launch and the Mastodon integration and how it fits with the magazine and with Mindplex in general?
Yeah, hi guys, welcome. I'm Connor, the COO of Mindplex, and I've been working in decentralized tech since about 2016. In the blockchain space, to get started with, it was very pro decentralization. There was all sorts of startups trying to take the power out of the hands of tech corporations and spread it among the people. To me, that's still the vision of the internet: is a decentralized network where everybody has a voice and everybody has a platform, and you're not running through the hallways of a big tech corporation. So Mindplex was founded with that ideal, and we have blockchain features. Blockchain is obviously a decentralized architecture, and we had talked about decentralizing the media aspect of it in one way or another. So in the past year or so, Mastodon has emerged as the obvious way to do it. These different people trying to decentralize social media in different ways, but Mastodon is the clear sort of leader in the field. So we've integrated Mastodon with our Mindplex social media, which has Mindplex's blockchain features, soulbound reputation token that vouchers for your credibility, your reputability on the network. That's our tech, and then integrated with Mastodon's open source tech. Frey will talk more about the technical features of it, but the idea of it is to decentralize social media. I'm sure we'll have plenty of time as to talk as to why that's a good idea. Frey, do you want to say something else about the launch?
Yeah, you have summarized this pretty much good. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you guys. And then I think this is my first time to have a first time with the Mindplex and SingularityNET community. So it's a pleasure to be with you guys in this exciting time. So with the Mastodon integration, when there are some unique features to it when you compare it with other Mastodon instance. Well, the first one is the obvious blockchain part of the Mindplex reputation system. Right now, we have started with the reputation system, but probably in the first quarter of 2024, we will add the utility because we are going to have our utility to launch by that time. We will add the mega boosting feature on our Mastodon instance as well. And then our idea or the experiment here is to see how we can combine this soul-bound token called MPXR, which is going to represent the credibility of the content plus the content creator on the Mastodon instance, and then how that can help these content creators make something for them. Because after all, people expect reward. And then in this case, it could be a financial reward if we integrate our utility token, which we are going to call MPX token very soon. So this experiment will happen on Mastodon, and then on top of that, we are working on a very powerful recommendation AI system, which will take feedback, which will take parameters and data from these two tokens on the blockchain. Especially, it will take certain parameters and data from the reputation system. So the way we are pushing this decentralization is going to be a merit-based approach for everyone. the higher MPXR points you have, the better chance of being rewarded with the MPX token via the mega boosts. And then again, you have a higher chance of being uh, your contents being distributed on the Mastodon instance, because the recommendation AI will focus on this type of parameters. Uh, we think that I mean, yeah, it's somehow uh, imperfect right now, but we think that we can make it accurate to the extent that you will get the right kind of uh, tools. These are what we call posts on Mastodon tools. So you will get the right kind of tools uh, from the right content creator.
And I love this, how this Mastodon just enables the growth of the conversation. One of the things that is so exciting and powerful for me in this launch is not only does this, I believe, as far as we know, the first time that blockchain tools are being integrated in a Mastodon server, giving this added layer of opportunity and options for a more even more decentralization within the space, but it's also this close integration with the magazine itself. Connor or Rui, perhaps you could talk a little bit about how closely the Mindplex Social and the Mindplex Magazine are integrating to become a unified kind of media space tool that helps broaden the conversation around media, these important futuristic topics that we're all so interested in.
Okay, I can take this one. I mean, as you know, when you are a content creator, you are like an artist, whether it's a technical content, whether it's a fictional work. You have this artistic soul with you, which urge to be heard. And then in this case, you publish it on the magazine, and then a certain people on the magazine will read that content of yours. But how about magnifying that reach, and then how about reaching out to other people, other-minded people, and then you can get more feedbacks, you can get more interactions. So we are discussing about these things, and then we decided to integrate uh, part of the Mindplex magazine with the Mastodon instance. In this case, publish something. You don't need to do any extra work. It will be auto-published on the Mastodon instance. And then it's not just the content. The comments will also be there. The replies will also be there. And then the good thing is you will still collect these reputation points on the Mastodon as well, because the blockchain will take data from both the magazine and the Mastodon instance. So we're just giving more platform to content creators on right now. Anything you publish on the magazine side will be active on the Mastodon side, along with all kinds of interactions. Again, the news section is also integrated, so whatever news we have for you guys, it will also be on the Mastodon instance. The community section, which I expect some of our audiences today will contribute some content in the near future, is also integrated on the Mastodon instance, which means whoever gets published on Mindplex, they can get the benefits of being published on Mindplex from both sides. And then depending on the feedback of their contents, they will start to collect this reputation point or the soulbound token we call MPXR from both instances.
And I think this is so powerful about the entire Mindplex experience, is that when we're looking at content on the social feed on this new Mastodon server or within the magazine, that we can look at how topical it is, how important it is, how provocative it is by looking at the reputation. How much have people interacted with it? How much people have commented on it? And this is boosting it very naturally based on actual human interaction instead of um, uh, paid check marks, for instance, right? Our reputation is actually based on our actions, on how we're interacting and behaving in a system. And that's so important here. And I think it's so amazing to have those integrated together, the magazine, the social aspect, and allow content to influence the social media conversation as it already does, but in a very natural way. And then the conversation to also come back and influence the magazine. If somebody sees provocative comments from a friend or somebody they're following on an article, they may get intrigued and want to read the original thought piece, and therefore broaden what they're seeing, what they're experiencing, what they're interacting with. And this seamless integration is just, it's beautiful here. So kudos, congratulations. Now I want to hear a little bit about also one of the rise of LLMs has the social media landscape, the media landscape was already inundated with content that was very shallow or just clickbait, right? And that has only proliferated with the rise of LLMs and LLM generated content going everywhere. Something that Dr. Ben, who we're still waiting for, he got caught on something else, but he should be joining us shortly. Something that Ben and Rui and Connor, we've all had rich conversations about is deepening the conversation, making sure that we're looking in the right directions, that we're asking the right questions about the future, about AI and longevity and all these complex issues that we're facing. How do you see the magazine, the Mastodon integration, Mindplex Social helping to deepen this conversation and bring more discussion to the fore?
Yeah, I'll take that. There's a lot of places we could go with that. We talk about LLMs all the time. One thing I want to talk about is you're right in saying that there are dangers that LLMs will make the conversation more shallow, and they can be used in that way. Somebody posted on, I think it was Hacker Noon, where they searched Amazon reviews for comments to begin with. As a large language model, so people were posting these, reviews of things they bought on Amazon. And like, as a large language model, I can't tell you how good this lamp is the Amazon review. Like that's an example of LLMs being used to worsen the conversation, and yeah, that's funny, and we need to pay attention to that sort of stuff. But I want to talk about how LLMs can be used to benefit the conversation. Because while LLMs have their weaknesses with their shallowness, with their banality, with their propensity to hallucinate, let's also talk about the fact that human beings have their weaknesses. And if you look at the human generated content on YouTube comments, on Twitter, the weaknesses of the human psyche are on full display. I'm not sure I need to stress that point. The bigotry, the hatred, the ignorance, the just dumb comments are all over the place. And one thing we've talked about doing with Mindplex is using LLMs as a sort of automated moderator to try and elevate the conversation. Like if humans are posting labeling kind of comments, what I mean is like, you're an idiot, or this is so dumb, and they're not really presenting any thought, they're just spewing out labels. We can train automated systems to recognize that and to intervene and to insert comments that say, well, what are you trying to say here? Could you justify what you're saying? This is work that could, in theory, be done by human moderators, but in practice, it's a scaling issue. Human moderators can't be everywhere all the time, and they'll get tired. So, yeah, one way LLMs can intervene is in responding to human stupidity and trying to elevate the conversation a bit. That's just one example of many.
I mean, Connor, just to add on what you said, we're also experimenting with the LLMs, like Connor said, as comment moderators, and then they're also a good source of data. At the same time, we're generating content using these LLMs, and then we're testing them, just like Connor said. I mean, comment shows one thing, like the interaction. It shows the interaction, and then just like Connor said, every interaction has a motive. Why are you interacting in the way you just interacted? What's your motive? So this is one area where we are experimenting with LLMs, and then we are trying to sort out the type of motivation. And then depending on that, if you are a good player, obviously you will get a reward. If you are a bad player, you still have the freedom of speech, but the reward will not be there.
It's a good point. It's a good point, and it's nice to talk also that balance, that benefit. LLMs can shallow the conversation. They can make mass production of content available, but the benefits, the positives, the way that they have infinite patience, like Connor said, to respond to comments, and the way that they can actually help educate, learn, localize. Right? Perhaps some of the Amazon comments, as an LLM, I like this lamp because it's because somebody couldn't speak English, right? You know, and the ability to further communication through LLMs is a potential benefit there as well. So welcome, Ben. It's great to see you here. We went ahead and started talking about some of the features and opportunities that this new Mastodon launch offers. You know, our first step is SingularityNET ecosystem, decentralizing social media, as we've been talking for so many years, and now we finally get to act on this, to make our big splash, at least in this one area of decentralization, using a decentralized server and a decentralized space. There's still so many levels of decentralization that can come to social media, but here's a big step that we're taking right now.
Yeah. I mean, we're all seeing, as end users, we're seeing the remarkably rapid implosion of the centralized social media world. I mean, the speed with which brother Elon is destroying Twitter/X is quite remarkable. But I mean, that's only part of it, right? Like, I have a hard time remembering, but I used to be a regular Facebook user, right? I mean, now I log on maybe every couple months to see what some aunts and uncles are doing or something. I mean, it's participating in long, in-depth Facebook discussions where everything you say is buried in some thread seems ridiculous now, right? So it does seem that through a variety of dynamics, like over the last year or two, we've seen the emergence of a social media landscape where there's not any big place where everyone is going. Like, there's no global commons, and that in a way it's good that Facebook is not trying to be the global commons, because it's a very fucked up global commons, right? And Twitter, I mean, I enjoyed more than Facebook, but also has a way of stupidifying things by reducing them all to very small chunks of text or images, right? So it's not that, I mean, let alone like TikTok, which is super cool, but everything is like, 30 seconds or minutes of Asian girls dancing or something, and then you get more and more of this, but orchestrated totally by some opaque algorithm that came out of the Chinese government, right? And there's amazing stuff there. If you look at high school students posting science lab experiments on TikTok, it's amazing. Like, you learn how to do every experiment you ever imagined. Or like search black violin on TikTok. You'll see an astounding number of young people playing like speed metal on electric violin in their bedroom at 12 years old, right? So I mean, there's great stuff on all these centralized social networks, but yet none of these deserve to be the place where the global brain of humanity converges, right? And really, that burden is too big to be borne by any one platform, even if it's solves a bunch of the specific problems with the Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, or Twitter or whatever. So I mean, the fractionation of our social media lives into a bunch of smaller, more focused venues totally makes sense, right? Like, I mean, it makes sense that I can VCs and enterprise AI business people on LinkedIn, and I can talk to, crypto degens on Discord, and I have a Google group for talking to OpenCog fans and so on. Having this fractionation is fine, and it kind of reflects how things are in everyday life, right? Like, I go to the playground and talk to other parents of toddlers, and I'll go to a music club and talk to other jazz fans and so on. I mean, that's all fine, but I mean, in this fractionation should only be a part of it, right? And we should be able to connect all these fractionated portions, and that should take the form of a persistent idea that you carry around from some fractionated network to the other, which should be something beyond just your name. I mean, name works okay for me because my Ben Goertzel is an unusual name, except there's all these fucking Ben Goertzel imposters out there pretending to be me and trying to get people to send them Bitcoin, right? But if like my high school best friend was Mike Smith, being Mike Smith doesn't different social networks. There's too many Mike Smiths, right? So I mean, you want a persistent identity. I mean, you also want a persistent reputation, right? So that if someone's persistent identity is that they're trying to scam people on Bitcoin in every platform, that should be known. If your persistent identity is that you say smart stuff about AI on different platforms, it should be known. Or take my good friend Hugo de Garis. He says very smart things about the future of AI and about physics unification and the theory of finite simple groups and advanced math. On the other hand, he says incredibly stupid and offensive things about like racial and sexual politics and the banking system and so forth. And you should be able to define that reputation. So I would like to filter out everything Hugo says about men, women's, blacks, whites, and politics. But I would like to see what he says about AI and the future of humanity in general, and femtotechnology, right? So I mean, you should be able to propagate this sort of reputation across different networks. And I mean, that's not incredibly easy because there's some venues where you should be able to just say obnoxious random stuff, and other venues where you're more professional and measured by the nature of the venue. Like, you don't want to block someone on LinkedIn because like when they're gaming they curse at people or something, right? Because that's okay when gaming, it's not okay on LinkedIn. But these distinctions are not incredibly hard, and we don't even have an infrastructure to make them now, right? So it seems like the degradation and fractionation of centralized social media is opening the door really interestingly for some smart form of decentralized social media to pop up and to connect together all these fractionated social media islands that are out there, some of which have been around a while, things like LinkedIn, for example, and some of which are newly popping up. Now, this is a big thing to solve. Like, these interoperability things are always hard things to solve, right? Because you need standards and agreed on protocols, and then you need actual buy-in from people creating different software platforms and from users of these platforms. And I mean, I wrote a long white paper on this, I guess late last year, in a blog post, and trying to think through what would we really need to do to make the decentralized social media idea work and get traction. Not much of what I suggested there has been implemented in a systematic way since that time, but the centralized social media space has degenerated and disintegrated greatly since that time. So I think the opportunity is even more clear. And what we're doing with Mindplex and Mastodon, I sort of look at in two ways. I mean, one, it's a good thing for Mindplex magazine. It makes sense. Two, it's sort of putting our foot in the water in a real way in terms of doing stuff with decentralized social media in a way that can grow significantly beyond the initial form of Mindplex Mastodon, right? So I mean, Mastodon, it has a lot going for it. I mean, it's based on ActivityPub protocol, which has non-trivial amount of adoption and promises of more adoption, right? So you have entities like Threads from Facebook and Tumblr and Flipboard have all come out saying they will integrate with ActivityPub. Now they're not committing exactly when, but at least it's like a known thing. Now Blue Sky, which is the other big Twitter alternative out there, has a different call, but there's already a bunch of open source code doing bridges between Blue Sky's protocol and ActivityPub, right? So I mean, on a technical level, I could make a way better protocol than ActivityPub in an afternoon, probably. But I mean, getting adoption is the hard thing with this sort of protocol, right? So I mean, an ActivityPub is fine, and it seems to be getting actually buy-in from companies doing real stuff in the social media world. So I think that's an interesting start. So then by making a custom fork of Mastodon for Mindplex, I mean, this lets us put the Mindplex community out there in the Mastodon and the ActivityPub world, which I think is going to grow significantly in the next months and year or so. But it also lets us get started putting some unique technologies out there into the Mastodon and ActivityPub world, and then into the decentralized social media ecosystem, right? So, I mean, the
In this,
reputation system is one element there. So we've used Mindplex to prototype a bunch of ideas about reputation that we'd previously simulated within SingularityNet's research team. We hadn't yet rolled them out on SingularityNet platform because we wanted broader and more diverse user base on SingularityNet platform before we really need a reputation system like that there. But Mindplex, because of what it is, can get a broader and more diverse user base more quickly, right? Because the user base of SingularityNet is AI developers and AI API users and so on. The user base of Mindplex is people writing articles and commenting on them. That's an easier thing to grow more rapidly in numbers, right? So we'd already been experimenting with our weighted liquid rank reputation system that started in SingularityNet research group. We'd already rolled that out within Mindplex in a simple way. It made sense to put that into our Mastodon fork. So then you have reputation within Mindplex Mastodon, and you have reputation within Mindplex Magazine, and we can interoperate those quite easily. But I mean, this is an experimenting ground for reputation in a social media context, but it's also something, once we've shown that the reputation element works well within Mindplex Mastodon, we can then use that as a platform to roll out this cross-chain, cross-network reputation mechanism across different social media networks and different blockchain networks and so forth. And I think we've put a lot of thought into the design of the reputation component. I mean, reputation is it's a non-fungible token. I mean, it's blockchain based, but it's not money. Like, you can't buy and sell reputation, and there's no one token that you will always have to use to get reputation services, like validation of your reputation or something. So I mean, within Mindplex network, the Mindplex token will be used to fund stuff like policing reputation fraud. But if our reputation was propagated to, Tumblr or Blue Sky or other Mastodon nodes, I mean, they don't have to use Mindplex token for associated reputation services. They give their money or other forms of tokens, but still the non-fungible reputation token is its own thing. And beyond the token, I mean, we're going to need to make available sort of immutable on-chain records of what public actions led the reputation to be what it is. And this immutable reputation record should be a cross-chain, cross-network thing. So I think putting the reputation in Mindplex Mastodon is a first step toward a much, much bigger picture in terms of reputation for decentralized social media. And the same will be true as time goes on with AI services on Mindplex Mastodon. I mean, within Mindplex proper, the magazine, and within Mindplex Mastodon, I mean, each user will have an AI profile that serves to recommend things to them. And also, to the extent they want to open it up, it could serve to tell other people when other people want to interact with them in a certain way, right? Like, don't bother to push me your right-wing political bullshit. I won't read it anyway, and I'll just trash you. But you can post me stuff that agrees with my way of thinking a bit, and I may retweet it and amplify it, and I'm not likely to trash you, right? So I mean, you can, but these profiles that our AI will automatically build of users, these also, they'll be valuable within Mindplex Mastodon, they'll be valuable within Mindplex Magazine, but these are something that you as a user should own. You should be able to export them, you should be able to inspect them, and the aspiration is we want these to be portable across Mindplex instances and across other decentralized networks, right? So we're have a roadmap of rolling out interesting AI stuff on Mindplex Mastodon, interoperating with Mindplex Magazine. We haven't deployed most of that yet, but it's clear how to do it within Mindplex Mastodon step by step. And then we're looking at this as showing cool stuff works here, and then try to propagate it throughout the decentralized social media ecosystem generally, right? So, I mean, at first, it's relatively low key. We just want people to be able to use our own Mastodon server to chat about articles and have, a meaningful reputation system there for, filtering of content and people, and allowing you to direct your attention to places you'll find meaningful. But it all ties in with the broader thoughts I posted last year on decentralized social media. We just want to start with something. And really, this was a lot of the thinking behind launching Mindplex Magazine in the first place. I mean, Connor and Roy and I were first talking about what should Mindplex be. We tossed around for a while, well, maybe it should just be decentralized Twitter, right? I mean, this was before Blue Sky when we were first talking about this. Maybe it should be some novel form of decentralized social network that's never been envisioned before. But then you have this whole traction problem, right? Of how do you get a network formed out of nothing? And Blue Sky solved that because of Jack Dorsey, right? And Mastodon built that up over a number of years. part of the reason we decided to do Mindplex magazine in the first place is a magazine is you don't need network effects to get a magazine going, right? I mean, you need to grow it beyond a certain level, but you can just start and put content out there, and then you can use that as a seed for broader decentralized social network activity, because you have that concrete thing of real meaningful content there to start driving the growth. So we did the magazine. It's not huge, but it's got some cool content on there. It's got a couple of podcasts associated with it. I mean, it's a thing. And now we're looking at taking the next step that we had in mind, really before Mindplex even was called Mindplex, or before it was launched. It was called
Accelerando.
Accelerando back then, I think. And Mindplex is a much better name. But yeah, Accelerando Media. Yeah, no, the amazing novel from Charlie Strosh, Accelerando, which foresaw smart contracts and the singularity and super intelligent mind uploaded lobsters and a lot of other cool things. But I mean, that I think the rebrand of the name to Mindplex was good. But my point is, what we're doing now is a step we had in mind from the get-go, which is, okay, we get the magazine as a thing, then both to grow the reach of the magazine and to use the magazine as a seed for getting within decentralized social media, right? And I mean, I think this is, it's could be viewed as frivolous in a sense, because I mean, building super AGI, curing longevity. There's a lot of important stuff that we're focusing on in SingularityNET ecosystem that in a way could seem more serious and worthwhile than social media, which is mostly a bunch of bullshit. But on the other hand, along with all the bullshit, in the end, social media is where the global brain of humanity is converging together, right? I mean, there is a bunch of nonsense. On the other hand, like, if you have a band with an amazing new form of music, social media is how you find listeners, right? I mean, if you have a new AI theory idea and you want to pull together software developers to help you implement something, in practice, diversity of social media is where you will find developers to join your thing, right? So I mean, it's easy to preoccupy in all the nonsense, and it's important to make AI to help you get beyond that nonsense and find the stuff you consider meaningful. But still, there's a really important thing here, which this is how the global brain of humanity is thinking, right? I mean, for better or worse. Like I'm working on a book that I hope to launch in the next couple of months, which is called the Consciousness Explosion. But there's a chapter in that book called is the emerging global brain an idiot savant, right? And it sort of is. But I mean, in social media, we see the idiot part and the savant part, and they're both worthy of attention. But we're hoping that we can magnify the savant part and sort of keep the idiot part down a little bit. I mean, maybe it's necessary, just like in Freudian psychology. Every person needs an id as well as an ego and super ego, right? I mean, that social media landscape maybe always will have its id as long as humanity is around, but we want to amplify the super ego and the more intelligent bits with reputation and AI models and so forth. And in doing so, we're not just growing Mindplex and helping decentralized social media take advantage of the gap left by the dissolution of centralized social media. I mean, we're also helping the global brain of humanity become more savant and less idiot, which is really important because it is the global brain of humanity which is creating the singularity. Like I'm doing more than the average person on that, but there's only so much even I or any one person can do, right? It's a large community of people who are coming together. I mean, it's famous. It takes a village to raise a child, but it takes more than a village to raise a baby AGI and create the singularity. And it's largely social media that's pulling people together for this, which is why I've bothered to fractionate some of my attention onto decentralized social media. And I'm super psyched at how far Roy, Connor, and the rest of the Mindplex team have been able to push this.
Yeah, Ben, I mean, it's not just about, experimenting with this social scenario, because whenever I imagine this post-singularity world, what will it be? It be like carbon-based life forms, robots, just softwares, blah, blah. We can't be sure how it will look like, but I can tell you one thing. Information will be there. Even after the post-singularity, information will be there, and that's the only constant that I can tell you for sure now. I mean, if we have a positive post-singularity. So, our experiment with stuff is not frivolous. I mean, it looks like silly now, but we're experimenting with something that will be the only constant even after the post-singularity world. And for us, in the Mindplex, the experiment is about, like you said, just because somebody is good at science, it doesn't mean they can say something about Ethiopian cuisine, for example, or just because someone is a famous Hollywood star, they can't be a good political economist or something like that. So we have to have this category of reputation. And then this Mastodon instance will be a good ground for Mindplex to understand this complex category, and then how we're going to apply your feedback, your reaction to a certain category, and then how that AI will do the calculation. For example, let's say somebody write a very bad comment about a space science article, but this guy's uh, experience is on chemistry, or it could be on biology, and then should we take it on face value? Okay, we humans right now, and then we will decide for ourselves. But when it is AI, just because you have high category on chemistry, it doesn't mean whatever you say will apply on the space category. We have started this thing on Mindplay right now. It will be active soon. It's a phase 2 of the reputation system. But this Mastodon instance for me is something that will help us, build a very powerful AI that can value the reputation of information. And like I said, information is only constant.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
it's so
Roy,
important
we had
to.
discussions on this. We had discussions on this when we
Okay.
first met in Addis Ababa in 2014, or whenever that was, right? When you were
2011,
active as
it was
a
12 years ago.
journalist in you're active as a journalist in Ethiopia at that time, and these same issues existed then. I mean, I remember GetToNet and yourself were trying to bring Ethiopia up to speed with the singularity, because AI, these notions of AI and robotics and nanotechnology and all this were very poorly known in East Africa at that time compared to now. But yet the media outlets in Ethiopia and other East African countries just were not up to the task of propagating these ideas. So GetNet sort of took matters in his own hands, right? And I think as decentralized social media spreads, it's going to be quite influential in doing the same sort of information spreading that you and GetNet were working on back in 2014 even. So there's the folks who are reading Mindplex now, which is mostly a quite elite tech savvy group who are into AI and crypto and the intersection thereof, which is an amazing group of brilliant, knowledgeable people to have aggregated. But I think as decentralized social media catches fire in the next couple of years, we're going to be able to use these mechanisms to spread these ideas throughout the world more broadly. I mean, including Eastern, West Africa, Central Asia, Latin America, and places where people are not thinking about AI and blockchain every day. And centralized social media doesn't care that much about spreading information to places where people don't have credit cards to click on ads, right? Whereas decentralized social media can just be much more heterogeneous in its business models and its underlying motivations. So I think it has a lot of potential to. I think Mindplex has a lot of potential to accelerate the spreading of advanced tech ideas in the developing world, like we were talking about when we first met 8-9 years ago, but also then to accelerate the gathering of feedback so that folks in every country of the world are giving input to the development of advanced technology, which is a feedback loop that is not totally non-existent now. I mean, it exists in ICOG Labs, where we have dozens of developers working on advanced AI in Ethiopia with you and GetNet and so on. But I think that feedback loop needs to be much accentuated, and decentralized social media has huge potential for that also.
Yeah, and
Yeah, so
then
people
we
are
kind of
commenting on my
mentioned,
hat. I lost my hat in Berkeley, and I had to buy another identical one. So this is not the original magic hat. So if anyone finds the original magic hat,
You
you
should sell it. It's probably
NFT
worth it.
it
either mail it
and
back to
sell
me
it.
or put it on your head. Put it on your head and see if it transmogrifies the way you think somehow or something, right? But it's being quite distressing to adapt to the symbiotic with the second version of the hat. Yeah.
I think this hat could be the first Mindplex NFT. We can give it as a giveaway to the people who join our Mastodon instance in the
Well,
first 2 weeks.
there's a whole hat business model. There's a whole hat business model I haven't ever undertaken, but I have the theory that a cowboy hat should be the ultimate convergence device, right? Because you can put a phone in your hat, you can put speakers in your hat, you can put a microphone in your hat, you can put a lot of battery in a hat, right? So it could run for a long time. But beyond that, you could put Wi-Fi antenna, but you could also have it read your EEG and do transcranial electrical and magnetic stimulation, right? So in the end, the hat should be the only device that you need that will link you into the real Mindplex, right? So that's, and you heard it here first, right?
Hat token coming soon. Yeah. And of course, they're affordable all across the
Hatopia.
world,
There
so
we
everybody
go.
hat. So everybody can give feedback on the development of the hat, right? We can stylize it per country and in every nation, everywhere.
The pattern of spots on the hat. Each hat has a separate pattern of spots, which is a QR code that
It's an
uniquely gives
identity.
your identity. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. A decentralized identity solution is perfect.
Then is that zebra print, or is that more like a
Yeah,
cow? I thought it was zebra print, but I'm looking closer now. It's not quite a zebra.
yeah, it's a subtle print from a post singularity species of animal that hasn't been genetically engineered yet.
Right.
The downside is all the NSA and CCP's surveillance satellites could identify you from the QR code on your hat. It would make centralized
Well,
people
you
tracking
change
even
hats
easier,
and
right?
you confuse them completely.
They can
So
do that anyway. It probably doesn't matter.
I can do that. I think it's so important to. Desi was humorously asked on a panel recently why haven't you taken over the world yet? We have this conversation often about, asking the wrong questions, right? Where people that don't have as much background or depth on AI, on decentralization, on blockchain are asking wrong questions, right? Desi, I mean, if you walk up 4 stairs, you're safe from Desi. She can't get you then, right? So it's the
Yeah.
wrong question. But having a media outlet where we can scale the global conversation and we can talk about the important topics like decentralized identity as achieved by hat prints, making that scalable, making that transparent, making that available to everyone everywhere is so critical. It's so important so that everybody can understand what truly are the issues, what truly are potential solutions, can crowdsource the creativity of the entire world. It's critical to how everything shapes from here. Didn't have a question there, just it seems
Yeah, so
and
social media is one of the technologies that has influence over the entire world. If you compare it to, I mean, AI or some biotech things that are only available in the developed world, um, social media is a very significant force in developing countries, and
right.
it's not just the developed world that is talking on social media, and India, Africa, they do be on their damn phones all the time as well. There is input from truly from the globe, inputting into social media. So when you're talking about it being a decentralized input and a training set to an AI mind, yeah, you are really drawing from all levels of humanity.
Yeah, I mean, you can find kids, for example, in Ethiopia or in Rwanda with a Cardano stake pool or something like that. They learn this stuff from social media. So there is no denying on the impact of social media. Like we have been saying, the question is like how we can make a meaningful attention within this social media, whether decentralized or centralized, because the, equally it can lead people to bad directions or the wrong directions, and then there has to be this trustable, decentralized mechanism which can help us, have this meaningful attention, our time on social media towards a truthful outcome.
Not just a distraction, but actually contributive, right? There's massive movements in so many domains towards decentralization, DAOs, blockchain, open source, the rise of Linux over the past decade or decades. It's clear that the world wants to be more decentralized, but there comes a you need to have that connected. There's a golden thread or a glue that needs to run through that so that you can have coordinated, decentralized, and have the best of everything in there. All the intelligence combined and creativity combined instead of separated, right, through that decentralization.
Exactly. Exactly. And then I mean, yeah, this is what we have observed. And then I see, I mean, this might be a little bit different from what you said, but how do we balance, the risk of running a decentralized social media and then, the bad players? Like, how do we balance that? I mean, when we say freedom of speech, when we say a decentralized way to express yourself, how do we balance that objectively?
Yeah, I'm not sure we can balance this objectively. This is something we were talking about a week ago. Maybe what we should focus on, rather than getting rid of bias and getting rid of subjectivity, maybe we should talk more in terms of improving the quality of the conversation, because there are low quality conversations and high quality conversations being had already on the internet, and Twitter, by its form and by its incentive structure, tends to drag things down. And I'm not sure it's that realistic a goal to remove all bias because of the philosophical reasons we could get into about, everybody has their own subjective point of view, and anything someone posts is being posted by a person who has got self-interest and has got bias and has got a particular sort of mental conditioning. Um, so yeah, I'm trying to maybe move the conversation away from anti-bias, which is impossible, and towards elevating the quality of things, which I think it absolutely is feasible. We can use tools like LLMs, tools like reputation systems, the liquid weighted rank reputation system to improve the quality of the conversation.
And it's always our connections that bring us insight that change our minds, right? And how can we facilitate connections that open eyes and broaden perspectives through something like social media, bring more meaningful connections and understanding of, if there are agendas and biases, understanding of that they're there and how they're there. So, I
That's
think
right.
everybody can see here. This
Yeah,
is still very much a
the filtering out. Continue.
I was just going to say it's still very much an experimental area, and I just want to. I don't think we've mentioned yet. You can join the Mindplex social, the Mastodon through social.mindplex.ai. Hop on, contribute, participate, integrate with participate with the magazine in the comments section, and help us experiment in this space and look at how can we elevate the conversation, deepen the conversation, decentralize the conversation and broaden perspectives. What kind of conversation can this facilitate?
Haley, should we be taking questions from
Yeah,
the audience
what
or
I wanted to
something?
say is I feel that
Yes.
Sorry, Ben.
I wanted to say just briefly, I feel that with the current state of AI technology, even though it's far from AGI in a sense, although maybe near to AGI in time, it could be just a few years. But even with current AI technology, I feel like given a large social network with a lot of people and a lot of data, it's already solvable to present each mostly with stuff that they will find interesting and not show them stuff they will find offensive and disgusting and so forth. Like I think that problem was hard before we had modern AI technology. I don't think it has to be so hard now. Like I think mainstream centralized social media isn't trying very hard to do that well. I mean, Twitter kind of stopped trying at all, and stuff like TikTok or Threads. I mean, they're trying to make money. They're not trying to optimize your experience in any sense beyond that. I think Blue Sky is making a serious effort there with like custom algorithms, which I think is an interesting experiment, and we can certainly do a lot of interesting things with that in Mindplex and Mindplex Mastodon. Also, I'd say to do a good job of that, you need modern AI algorithms, and you need a lot of users and a lot of data to feed into them. So there's limits to what we can do when we're just getting Mindplex Mastodon off the ground. But I mean, once we have a huge user base, I think you can do actually a fantastic job of using AI to strike a balance between filtering out crap you don't want to see, but yet not, filter bubbling you too tightly, but letting you also see things that will let you expand your horizons, as well as obsess on the stuff that you want to see. So I'm quite optimistic that problem can be solved. I think that problem has been made to seem harder than it is, because centralized social media only optimizes for making money, right? But yeah, let's see if there's more quick questions from the Crunchy Peanut Butter Gallery.
As an otaku, the blog mentions content moderation and censorship. How do you balance between the two? Rui and Connor. This is an ongoing conversation.
This is an ongoing conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that has two aspects, right? So I mean, some stuff is just illegal and you have to censor it, or you'll get in trouble. So I mean, having a pure decentralized protocol, anyone can post anything, is the nature of it. But when you're hosting a magazine, you're hosting a website, you have to censor some things by law, basically, which can be irritating if you're a free speech absolutist. But I mean, my own orientation beyond that is, as heavily as you can, you rely on context specific reputation and filtering, right? To me, like I'm Jewish, I'm not religious. I don't care if there's a bunch of idiots out there arguing that Jews have an IQ of 50, or that Jews are taking over the banking system. Like I have no personal desire to ban people for saying a bunch of bullshit about Jews controlling the banking system. Like let them sit around and bullshit about this. I don't want to see their messages because it's boring and stupid, but I don't think they should be kicked off the internet. Now, if they're saying, like, this guy's address is here, go shoot him, then yes, okay, there are good reasons why that's not legal. So I guess I think if AI based moderation and filtering in a transparent and personalized way works well, then the perceived need for harder forms of censorship will become much less, because people won't be seeing that crap any more than people who don't want to look at 4chan have to look at it. But I mean, I'm pretty close to a free speech absolutist personally, but on the other hand, from the standpoint of running a business, there's always practical constraints you have to deal with.
Yeah, I'm pretty close to a free speech absolutist too, but there is a need to filter information on the internet from a user's point of view, even if like some of it is just boring and I don't want to read about Hollywood celebrities because I don't care. And censorship and filtering has gotten mixed up a lot with the conversation about political censorship, which is an important conversation to have. But like, I use an ad blocker on my web browser because there's a lot of stuff that the website is trying to send me that I just don't want to know about. So I filter what's coming into my web browser using an ad blocker, and that makes the internet a better place, because you've got to have some sort of intelligent filtering system to find you the juiciest content that you really want to see. So I don't think that like filtering is necessarily at odds with free speech. Good filtering should be about getting the user the most entertaining, the most educational content. Go on, Hurry, you're going to say something.
I would like to also add what actually happens on Mindplex, because the question is like, how do you do your content moderation and censorship? So the first thing is just like Ben says, or Connor says, we don't do censorship unless it is stuff that's illegal or something like that. But when we do the moderation, the content moderation, we have two. Basically speaking, we have two types of content, like the one that's informative, and then the one that's expedient. Expedient in this case means is just there to benefit the person who pushed this content on the platform. So in case of contents that are expedient, we don't give any reputation reward in terms of our MPXR token. But again, since it's a freedom of speech, that content will be available on the websites and similarly on the Mastodon instance. On the other side, we have this content that gives additional information. And then we have different parameters that measures this additional information, uh, like in terms of its offensiveness, like how strong does it offend certain groups, or is it like spamming, something like that. If it passes through these levels, the users will get uh, the reputation point, and then that content also gets uh, a certain point, so it can be recommended, and then it will be visible to many people. So from the Mindplex's point of view, and then from what's actually built on the system, we don't do censorship, or we don't block things. It's a reputation system that do the stuff. And then some content, this feature is already launched on the magazine, and then we are integrating it on the Mastodon as well. The reputation system will set a certain reputation point for 48 hours. It sets those points in comparison with the other people's reputation point, with the other content's reputation point. And then it will delete the bottom 30% every 48 hours. This is not done by human, it's not a bias or anything. It's just the AI that do this kind of moderation and filtering.
It's wonderful. It's like the way a smart contract can automate so much on blockchain. AI can automate some of this moderation, these decisions, make them less personal, less biased, but just helping the quality bubble up, and helping conversations move forward instead of get bogged down. Thanks, really. Now, Ben, I know that you have to hop off. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for sharing all your thoughts on Mindplex, Mastodon, and decentralized social media.
Yeah, I've got another meeting. Got to keep pushing AGI forward. But thanks everyone for your attention and for your help in this really cool initiative to bring Mindplex into the DSO world. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Yeah, man.
So I invite everybody again to join Mindplex Social. Join us in this experiment. Help us get it off the ground, get this conversation going, form the seeds of the global brain that's helping us shape the future, shape the conversation, shape the narrative, have a say in what's happening. Don't think that, because OpenAI is creating ChatGPT, that's the end, and they're just going to do that, and Google's creating this, and that's the end. They're just going to do it. We don't have to just let that be. We're all creating AGI here together. We're all creating the future together. We're creating the future of media and decentralized social media. And Mindplex Mastodon, Mindplex Social is everybody's opportunity to start getting involved, having the conversations that we would all like to be having on these topics. And I thank you very much, Rui and Connor, for being here, for introducing this, for sharing your deep perspectives and deep thoughts on everything media, social media, AI, reputation, blockchain, and joining us here today.
Thank you, Haley. It was a pleasure for me to be here. And then, like you said, I expect something from our community on the Mastodon, on the magazine. I saw some comments with our community as well. People are asking, how can we join? How can we contribute? And then this is decentralization. Everybody is invited. Together, I hope that we can build a better system, and then it can grow to where it should be, even in the post singularity. So thank you very much for the opportunity, Haley.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks to everybody who listened. Just to get back to the practical point, just sign up for our Mastodon thing. Go create an account. Do it now.